This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds. This time I'm responding to the pressure from President Trump and various governors and politicians around the country urging that students be required or maybe even mandated and forced to return to school, either immediately or in the coming fall 2020 semester in the case of the normal school year. This strikes me as a disaster, a compounding of the failures of this system and of the president to properly prepare for the coronavirus or to properly contain it. Now that failure is going to be compounded by throwing unnecessarily students, teachers, administrators, custodians, and all the other personnel that make up our schools into absurd danger. Make no mistake, over the months since March of 2020, little or nothing has been done to transform schools into safe places to go. The government has not mandated a safety standard for schools. The government has no effective enforcement or monitoring mechanism to enforce safety in schools. The same, by the way, is true for safety in workplaces. The president notoriously pressured, hounded, threatened meatpacking workers to go back into their jobs, notorious for coronavirus infection, and pointedly did not threaten, force, or mandate the employers to fulfill a strict safety standard. Making students and teachers and administrators and all the rest of the school personnel go into a not yet safe situation is itself only making the already failed preparation and the already failed containment of the COVID-19 virus worse. Let me give you an idea of what a proper preparation might have looked like. Let's begin. Every school in America, and indeed every space that can be used as a school in America, could have and should have begun to be reconfigured, reorganized, reworked, rooms changed, rooms divided, temporary or permanently, depending on what each school district thought best. We had millions of people, we still do, without work. The government should have hired them to do this kind of work in every school and in every local building that can be used as a school. And that's true from kindergarten all the way up through the university. If learning is to be done online, then provision has to be made for people who don't have access to a computer. Even for those who can access a computer, learning by distance is not the same, but it could be brought closer to in-class learning if millions of educated, unemployed people could have been trained in April, May, June, July, and so on, to be tutors, to work as teaching assistants, perhaps in one-on-one interactions with students who could get a lesson from a professor or a teacher, and then follow-up could be organized if someone had taken the time and the trouble or had the commitment to education as a priority for this society and certainly for its future. But no such priority existed or exists. It's almost an afterthought that halfway into July, we're beginning to recognize that there's a school issue. And solving it having failed to make the schools safe by pressuring people to go back in is outrageous and criminal. There should have been testing. Testing facilities should be set up in any school that's even considering bringing people back. So a test can be done to make sure that students, teachers, administrators, and so forth are healthy before they come into contact with others. And of course, masks and all the rest as necessary. Small classes, if they're going to be held, in reconfigured, reworked spaces. If you had developed a regimen and a staff of people to keep those places clean every day, to test everyone going into a classroom every day, then maybe with social distancing, by reorganizing the schools, it might have been a reasonable conversation how to mix online with in-person teaching, using existing teachers, beefing them up with an army of rehired unemployed people to work as tutors. Lord knows we have graduates of college and beyond in desperate looking for work as unemployed people. Here could have been a magnificent rehiring of them by a government committed to an education that is effective and safe. We have none of that. The Trump government is compounding its earlier failures here. No one should be intimidated into taking such a risk. There's still time, even if it means waiting until January, to mobilize the millions of people who want a job, to work in the field of education, to make it safe, and then to discuss, when we're sure it's safe, and we've spent the time and the money and the personnel to make sure, then we talk about returning to the schools. The way we're doing it now only makes the crisis worse. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.